So I thought that it would be a good idea to do a follow-up video to part one because people probably struggle with the concept of not thinking, and that's understandable. We're constantly using our mind to process information, understand situations, and strategize. In a world that feels like spirit is not in control, we have a lot to process, understand, and strategize about. We also use our mind to make judgments and establish our personal expectations from life. And we do this by thinking. And there's nothing wrong with using thought to deal with the present situation. That's what our mind is for. What it is not for is dragging our worst possible thoughts into the current moment. For example, as you're driving down the street, you make judgments about traffic, other drivers, weather conditions, visibility, etc. But we also listen to music, hear familiar songs, and before we know it, we're thinking about the ex who cheated on us, and that reminds us of how much that ex loved our mother's cooking. Then before you know it, we're thinking about our mother and how she's getting old and one day will die, and how will we care for her when she can't care for herself. Do you see how we can travel from the present to the past to the future just by our thoughts, and how we wind up thinking negative thoughts so easily? We end up spoiling the current moment. And as they say, the present is a gift. Like I mentioned before, Eckhart Tolle speaks of nothing except silencing the mind, and I get it. Plus, when we're trying to create using the law of attraction, negative thoughts work against our progress. They create resistance. They block the flow of good into our lives. It's certainly best to catch the bad thoughts and deliberately replace them with good thoughts. That stops resistance. Or, if your thoughts are just stubbornly racing, you can play the wouldn't it be nice game, where you imagine winning the lottery or achieving a long-term goal. Wouldn't it be nice? Then you find yourself imagining how you look and feel and move through the world as the successful version of yourself. This is definitely a better way to entertain your mind when it's restless. But keep in mind that too many of us can play that game and then find ourselves imagining that our lottery fortune causes relatives to be jealous and even murderous, or we picture ourselves unable to maintain our success after our dream comes true. Maybe we get injured or something and we lose our dream home, or our resentful spouse takes off with the kids. Our mind bounces from thought to thought like a rabbit being chased by a cat. Most of us don't even notice this. But then there are those zone out moments. Zone outs happen when our thoughts stop, but it's short lived and there's no deliberation or intention behind it. We all have them. I think our brain gets tired and just takes a breather. If it still sounds crazy to even want to stop thinking, it's probably because you've never stepped back and actually listened to your thoughts. For the next week, I want you to please pay attention to your thoughts. When you're watching television and your attention starts to drift off, check in with your thoughts. When you're in the bathroom or driving in your car, take note of where and how your thoughts wander. It's not about judging yourself because some of your thoughts will be weird and out there. That's normal. Nothing to be ashamed of. Our minds are subjected to so much input, from the big screen to the small screen, to radio shows, podcasts, websites, and books. There's so much information swirling in our heads that it's normal for it to arrange itself in weird patterns from time to time. So don't get hung up on how weird and random your thoughts are. Just notice how far an out of control mind will travel. The point is this: our thoughts create our reality. So do we want our reality to be random and weird, or one that reflects the direction of controlled thoughts? Because remember, we manifest what we think about, and we manifest it to the degree that we think about it. That's largely because we notice what we expect to see, and we expect to see things the way we think about them. It goes back to the whole red car phenomenon. You buy a red car and suddenly you notice how many red cars there are. If you believe most people are thieves, you will attract thieves into your life. If you believe your life is a constant pain in the ass, you will only see evidence to support that theory. Your thoughts control your reality because they color the way you interpret reality. When people think life itself is a curse, everything is a nuisance, a headache, a disaster. Whether it really is or not, that's how they see it, and they just attract more of it. Most of us aren't that negative. If you're a subscriber to this channel, you know that negative thoughts are harmful. But maybe it's the controlling of the thoughts that trips you up. That's why I recommend that we practice awareness and focus on the present moment. So let's imagine that we're washing dishes. Your thoughts should be along these lines: how will I get this pan clean? I love this glass. Man, I've had this fork for forever. Stuff like that. Not, oh my God, my boss hates me and my job is on shaky ground. Meanwhile, the rent is going up. If you're mowing the lawn, your thoughts should be about the health of your lawn or how you need to trim back some hedges, not, damn, that clerk at the gas station was rude to me. Does this make sense? I'm not saying that thoughts aren't valid or necessary or helpful when they're in their appropriate place, but when you're doing one thing, you should focus on that and only that. The one exception is when you get a hunch from source. Years ago, I was frying bacon, and fortunately that's all I was thinking about. So I heard the hunch that told me to turn off the stove and run outside to the front yard. So that's what I did. And I was just in time to stop my daughter, a little girl at the time, from crossing a busy street. Now, if I'd been heavily focused on anything other than what I was doing, I may not have been open to the hunch. I wouldn't have heard God's whisper. Does that make sense? Source energy isn't loud. It speaks softly but firmly, and we can't really hear it unless our mind is relatively quiet. When you're focused on what you're doing, even watching a TV show, your mind is much more open to source. Your thoughts aren't jumping and leaping north, south, east, and west. And most importantly, you're not thinking those negative thoughts that build a fortress around your life to block out success. And by success, I mean whatever success means to you. Look, our minds are going to think thoughts, but we neutralize and slow them down by focusing on what we're doing at any given moment. And we want to slow those thoughts down because racing thoughts torment us and block out source and keep us awake at night. And racing thoughts make meditation impossible. But when we go through life aware of our thoughts, but in control of them, it's so much easier to slow them down. Then we can slide into that nothingness where all the magic, healing, and energy and manifestation lies. It's the secret space of the Most High. That's where complete meditation takes us, to the desired destination. And there are all those bonuses that come with meditation, like health, peace, ease. At the same time that it relaxes you, it fires up your spiritual talents. You become a magnet for hunches and little playful nods from spirit. If you're like me, meditation helps us connect with our loved ones on the other side. I could go on. Anyway, it's time to find a comfortable position to meditate. Relax your shoulders. Gently roll your neck from left to right. Take a few deep breaths. And let's get started. Namaste.